I like it because it encourages acts of kindness, but it also gives kids an idea of different things that they can do to be kind. It doesn't have to be a really big thing, just small little things, like even just smiling at somebody or holding a door open for somebody or saying to them, "Oh, I'll put your book on the marking table." All of those are little acts of kindness that can make it a big difference when you build them all up.
And I think that really comes down to as well when girls have always been, "Oh, you're so pretty, you're so lovely." And we're trying to change that. The generation of some grandparents who still kind of put that, I've got two girls, so I hear it a lot. Like, it's like, "Oh my gosh, your daughter and her beautiful curly hair and her eyes." And I'm like, yeah, she's super creative and she can climb that wall and scale it in like 5 minutes.
Welcome to Rainbow Skies for Teachers, the go-to show dedicated to teachers who want to make a big difference in education. Whether you're in your first few years or well into your teaching career, we are here to inspire, support, and empower you with bite-sized tips, simple strategies, and the motivation to lead an education revolution, one classroom at a time.
We're Ashley and Alicia from Rainbow Sky Creations, two Aussie teachers who love all things teaching and learning. We are here to help you thrive as you work toward making an impact in your students' lives while loving your life as a teacher.
We are here to help you bring joy, simplicity, and creativity into your classroom on the daily, because
there are rainbows ahead, my friend, and together we're unstoppable.
Let's get into today's episode.
Rainbow Sky Creations acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we record this podcast on, the Dharawal and Whadjuk Noongar people. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Welcome to Rainbow Skies for Teachers. I'm Alicia and I'm here with the lovely
Ashley. And we are here to talk about kindness today, which is a topic that I think so many teachers find super important.
Yeah, teachers, parents, grandparents, adults, humans.
Oh, it's so important for any walk of life, really. We need more of it in the world.
It is. I feel like it's always at the front of mind in our household. And I guess when you're talking, I know I'm talking to my kids about how things are at school and we talk about kindness. I was chatting to my youngest actually this morning. She had a daycare and I was like, "Oh, how's things going with your friends?" And she's like, "I played with so-and-so. She was kind sometimes and bad other times." And I was like, "Oh, well, welcome to life, babes." She's like, "I was kind the whole time." I'm
well,
like,
good for her. I actually don't doubt she was kind the whole time.
Yeah, that, or just closed her mouth and walked away, which sometimes is a good strategy as long as you tell that person, "I need a bit of a moment. I'm processing what you just said. I'll be back later." We thought we'd discuss kindness now because on November 13th, what is it, Ash?
It's Kindness Day, World Kindness Day. And what better way? I know teachers implement things about kindness all the time in their classrooms. And whenever we put something on our blog or we put something on our social media about kindness, teachers love it. But it's actually the perfect excuse just to add another little lesson or a little activity in about kindness on the 13th of November.
And I always found term 4 was a time I had to maybe revisit the topic, especially when we're getting to the end of the year. There's lots of events going on. We've been hanging out together for a very long time and the wheels can start to fall off. The boundaries have come maybe a bit loose in the classroom. And I found like a way to incorporate kindness was just a great way to reset things in the class and just have a really nice end to the academic year for us here. And I know perhaps in the other parts of the world, you're just starting school and you're a couple of months in and maybe the class isn't gelling as well as it should be. And it's just a nice way, like Ash said, to bring that value of kindness to the forefront of everybody's minds.
Yeah. And not every kid gets that value at home either. Like you're talking about it with your little girl at home, Alicia, but not everyone gets that. So it's really nice when kids go to school and that they talk about things like this. I think it's really important. And I know there's probably people out there thinking this is not teacher's job. No, it's not a teacher's job, but to live harmoniously together in a classroom with all of the different personalities in one classroom, it's important that we learn how to treat each other with kindness and with respect. So we've got a few ideas for inspiration, suggestions, lessons that you might be able to use in your classroom this World Kindness Day or any day of the year, really.
Yes. So we're going to give you 5 ideas, and the first one is a brilliant one created by the lovely Ashley here. So you have to tell us about it.
Yes, it is called the Kindness Campaign, and they're actually tearaway flyers. So they've got a little quote about kindness on the top, and then down the bottom, there's little strips of paper that you cut the little strips so then kids can tear them away, and there's a little act of kindness that they can do on those strips. They're great to pin around the school, or you could pin them up in your classroom for kids to choose a little act of kindness. I like it because it encourages acts of kindness, but it also gives kids an idea of different things that they can do to be kind. Like it doesn't have to be a really big thing, just small little things, like even just smiling at somebody or holding a door open for somebody or saying to them, "Oh, I'll put your book on the marking table." All of those are little acts of kindness that can make a big difference when you build them all up. So the tearaway flyers have always been an absolute favorite of mine. Once upon a time, many years ago, we actually lived near a bakery and my kids were only little at the time. And I went up to the bakery one afternoon to get us a little sugary treat. And they had our kindness flyers up on the wall in the bakery. It was just across
So
the road
good.
from a school, and the school had put them up there and they put them out in the community. And I really love that idea as well.
Yeah, it gives me flashbacks to just being a kid and going down to the local IGA and just seeing all the notes on the
Yes.
notification board and being like, hey, if you're looking for a babysitter, tear off this. Hey, if you're looking for a lawnmower or someone to like mow the lawn, tear off this. And I think these tearaway flyers bring back that nostalgic element of what we got as kids growing up without phones. Like I feel like it's now replaced with text messages or emails. And it's kids just love it. Like you give the blank templates to your class, which I would do, and the ideas they would come up with. And then you'd see the things that kids were like, it was of interest to them. And I'd always have horse loving kids, and there'd be some pony that would make an appearance to do with kindness. They're just such a good resource that I promise you'll probably be pulling them out every term, not just because you want to, because there's some kid in your class who's requested to do that again. So yeah, bring back the 70s and 80s with Terra
Yeah,
Flyers.
so fun. They're free. We've got a whole set of them. They're free. And we've also even included a blank one. So then once the kids have gone out and used the kindness flyers or you've stuck them around your school community, then they can create their own, or you can just start off afresh and then create their own from the get-go. So that is a really fun one.
It is indeed. Then we got number 2, which is our kindness pack, pretty much integrating kindness into your lessons. I think there are so many little pockets throughout the day where we can incorporate a quick little lesson, or you've got a time filler where you're like, oh, that lesson finished earlier. I've got about 15 minutes. And we've put together a bunch of different activities on things that you think people don't need to be taught because they should just learn it organically. But I'm talking like, I called this a lesson in manners 101. When to use please, when to use thank you. I remember when I was creating this resource, it was for a group of year 3 students, and they were just atrocious at saying please and thank you. With my kids now, I got given this really great piece of advice. We were on our way to America to visit my brother. We had got stuck waiting for the flight, the plane. That whole experience in itself was horrific. And at the time I had an 18-month-old and a 3-year-old. And we were talking to this speech pathologist who she was talking to our girls, and she said, oh, I always found like please and thank yous was just so hard to reinforce. And I was still constantly having to do it with my teenage and young adult children. So she said, I just started to use sign language. So rather than saying, what do we
Ooh.
say? It would just be thank you and you're welcome is the same, where you'd put your hand up to your chin and you'd just go forwards and backwards. And that's like, thank you or you're welcome. And please is just rubbing the top part of your chest. So my girls know that if we're out and about and they see me going like this, they're like, oh, and thank you so much. Or if they go to ask me for something and there's this long pause, I just do the sign language for please. And they'll be like, oh, please, mum, can I please have the water or the chocolate or whatever it may be. So that was just a really simple tip that I got chatting to someone that I thought, oh my God, I would take that into the classroom. So in that being said, we have integrated a bunch of activities on like, what do manners look like? When would we use please? When would we use thank you? Another one is compliments. I don't know if
Yes.
like
The
how
art
do
of giving a compliment. How do you do it?
Yep, the art of giving a compliment, the art of receiving a compliment, which can be very hard of people of our generation. And I still catch my mum. I'm like, Mum, you just have to say thanks. Like, that's it. You don't, not like point out all the other flaws, just be like, oh, thanks. That was really for you to say that. Even the other one, I used to find I was doing so much. I don't know, year threes, year four, the age of reasoning has kicked in, feeling like they've got an opinion, they need to push on it or explain why theirs is the best. But it also came down to, how do you say sorry? How do you own up to the fact and take responsibility when you've done something that obviously has impacted another person in a way? I mean, like, that discussion in itself is big, and it's a discussion not only for kids, but it's for adults too. So we've got a whole bunch of activities that kind of talk about these manners 101 and how to give compliments, receive compliments, say sorry.
Yeah, it's actually one of those sorts of resources that you could download and then just sprinkle it throughout your year. But just going back to the saying sorry, gosh, it can be such a hard thing to do, can't it? Some kids find it so much harder, or some adults find it so much harder than others. But I think teaching a little lesson about it can really take off that pressure of saying
Yes.
sorry.
Absolutely. And I think there's sometimes when having to say sorry as like, I made a mistake, I failed, I made a mistake, I'm not good enough. And it's changing that discussion and that narrative about mistakes. And I'm sure we could unpack this a lot more, probably with people who have higher qualifications than what we have.
Yeah. But I mean, they're things that we've noticed over the years, and they're little lessons that we've done that we've just neatened up so other people can just use them too.
Yes. So we've got everything we chat about today, we'll link in the show notes so that you can. And we've also got, I think all teachers in the early years would have heard like How to Fill a Bucket, the Bucket Filler book.
Yes.
And we've got a free display and a free activity that you can do regarding kind people fill buckets. And I think I've even heard my daughter mentioning it. They're not a bucket filler. You're like, okay, you've read that book. Great. So there you go.
It is a good book, though. It's actually, as you read it as an adult, you're like, oh, yeah, you do notice that some people in your life are more bucket fillers than others, don't you?
It is. It's just a great analogy. You can visualize it, you can see it, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. I've got that in my head. It's good.
So we'll add the free bucket filler activity to the show notes too.
We shall.
Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about creating more of a school focus around kindness. Kindness Day, let's say, you agree as a staff, let's all do something together. You can put up little quotes or little banners. I know we've got a quote that says, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. It's free. We'll make sure that we link that one in the show notes too. You could add the tearaway flyers to this school focus. But it's a great way to start a kindness movement amongst your staff, a kindness movement amongst your class, or even the whole school. So creating something that you can do collectively together.
Yes. I like this little image that you have here, like journey with kindness, and they've got the little feet with like little acts of kindness and like how you're planting kindness every little step you make.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes two of the most powerful acts of kindness is that giving someone a smile, and I think using people's names. I think there's a reason people wear name tags at the shopping centre, like not to just complain about them and say, gosh, that person did a terrible job and I want to give them terrible feedback, but more for you to connect with that person and to be like, hey, thanks, Ty, so much for your help here. That was a really tricky situation and I couldn't work out what those products were or whatever it might be. So using people's names, I reckon, is such an underutilized form of kindness.
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually.
There you go. So, number 4.
Number 4, doing a lesson about compliments. So we spoke about compliments a bit earlier. The art of giving a compliment, or the gift of giving a compliment, is not easy for kids, especially if they're not explicitly taught. And we feel like kids need to pick up these things, but sometimes they really do need to be taught the exact way to give and accept a compliment. So we've got a little activity that kids love, which is a compliment jar, where they've got a paper jar. You could even use a real jar if you wanted to. Students in the class write little compliments around each other, and then they give their compliments to each other. And it's just a really nice way to explore different compliments, so not always the same sort of thing, but also giving compliments to people that may not be your bestie.
Yes, it's a really powerful activity. I actually did something similar in high school. And it was probably year 8, year 9. And we would get, like at our school, you had the same form that you followed through. It was all the grade 8s of that group followed through for the next 5 years. That being said, it now starts at year 7, right? Oh, gosh, how long ago was I in high school?
Yeah,
but what we did...
when you said form, I was like, are you like 70?
Feel it sometimes. So we would sit in a circle and it was part of like our health lesson or like positive talking, whatever we wanted to call it back then in the 90s. And we all had a piece of paper with with our name written on it and would fold it and then would pass it, would sit in a circle and would pass it to the person next to you. And they would open it up and be like, okay, Ashley, what's something positive I could say about Ashley? And then you'd fold it up, pass it to the next person. So for like a 20-minute activity was everybody writing something about that person. And yet, look, some of them didn't hold as much value as what other people might have written. Like if someone's like, oh, you've got really nice eyes. You're like, oh, okay, great. But then I remember I was doing woodwork and I was one of the only few girls who did woodwork in year 9. And I had some of my classmates who were like, Alicia, I really notice how great you are at woodwork and your skateboard was so much better than mine. You're like, oh, all right. That's like in my head, I went, someone's noticing a skill I've got and they're recognizing it rather than you've got pretty eyes.
I think that's the part of the skill of teaching the kids too. Like what's something special about that person?
Yes. That isn't maybe just isn't a physical feature, but so much
Yeah.
more to their value and how they treat others and an attribute. And I think that really comes down to as well when girls have always been, oh, you're so pretty, you're so lovely. And we're trying to change that. The generation of some grandparents who still kind of put that, I've got 2 girls. So I hear it a lot. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, your daughter and her beautiful curly hair and her eyes. And I'm like, yeah, she's super creative and she can climb that wall and scale it in like 5 minutes. She's super strong. And they're like, oh, that's great.
Yeah,
So
but it is true, isn't it?
it is. And it's a shift. It's a shift for everyone. And the same for boys, right? Boys still get physical compliments and attributes that we should be focusing on those things that are beyond just skin deep.
Definitely. So they are the compliment jars. Now, this is getting towards the end of the year now. We actually have got a similar lesson that is for Christmas where the kids create compliment wreaths about each other. So if you're like, oh, I'm ready for the Christmas crafts, you might be able to adapt this lesson to make it a little bit more festive. We'll put both of those resources in the show notes so you can go and check them out.
Absolutely. And then the last strategy is the power of books. How great are books at delivering context to what kindness looks like and putting it in the storytelling form? And when you're there going, oh, I'm trying to do a lesson on compliments, but how do I actually do it? Sometimes it's just getting a book about it or also getting the kids to role play and act it out. And you act it out. It's the modeling element. And books play such an important part in that.
They do. There are so many books out there now about kindness and about being kind in our world. We've got a couple listed here, but there is so many. These are a couple of popular ones, as we spoke about already. Have You Filled a Bucket Today by Carol McLeod. That's probably one that everyone knows. Enemy Pie is another good one. The Very Hungry Bear. I love that book about showing each other kindness. The bears show each other kindness. Really sweet. We've got Be Kind, Whoever You Are, We're All Wonders. Can you think of any others that are off the top of your head about kindness?
Sophie Beer has many great ones about kindness and different ways to show kindness. I love that one. Oh, I feel like I've read so many books at the library with my kids.
So many.
You just don't jot them down and you're like, oh, I've got a few growth mindset ones in my head, but that's not relevant to this topic. But yeah, there are so many out there. And I think it's when you find a good one, like share about it, right? Or you just pass it on to your buddy or you tell the library, hey, we should really get this book in. It'd be great for the kids.
Yeah, for sure. Even just if you're a little bit stuck there, go to your school library. They will definitely have books about kindness. I'm just thinking if I was a school librarian, I'd have a little section for World Kindness Day just with kindness books.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure your librarian is already ahead of it and they've already got the display up since the beginning of November. So
yeah, they probably do.
Utilize the librarians. I love our local library. I'm always going in and they've got little theme sections set up and the kids are like, oh my gosh, we need to get this book. I love the library as well because it keeps my kids quiet for a whole hour. They just sit there with books surrounding them. I was like, you go, kids.
I'm a lover of the library too. So good. Lots and lots of books, lots of literature. And while we're talking about that, if you teach an older grade, like say you're teaching grade 4, 5, 6, don't be afraid to read them a picture book. Older kids love picture books. We've said this so many times on the podcast, but I'm going to die on this hill.
You die on that hill. I'll be there right beside you, babes. I think as well, like if you've got your year 5s and year 6s and be like, hey, we've been talking about kindness. I'm setting a challenge for you. You need to go to the library, use the searching features and who can find the best picture book on kindness. And you put it there as a challenge or like a scavenger hunt and see what books the students find, right? It might be books that haven't been pulled off the shelf all year that were about to end up in the recycling bin. So yeah, make it fun.
Now, before we wrap it up, our friend Tam from Mrs. Learning Bee also loves all things kindness. She's dedicated to creating lessons of kindness. And she's this one lesson that I really love, and you can go and grab it over at the Hive. We'll put the link in the show notes. I think actually if you use our link, you can get a little sneaky percentage off, but they are kindness dominoes. So she has, it's like dominoes and how the domino effect of kindness, and
So
the
good.
kids is so good. And the kids draw on it, they write on it to create different ideas of how they can be kind to each other. And she has this display, I've seen it displayed in schools where it's just all around the hallways and it goes in and out of classrooms, and the domino effect of kindness. So that is our bonus idea from the Hive. And I'll put a link to the Hive in the show notes. It is a membership, but there's so much you get out of that membership. Like, it's actually incredible. And I don't think they offer discounts any other time, but you can get a discount with our code.
So good.
So
there you
good.
have it. So try some kindness campaigns, some terror flyers. Just integrate kindness into your day, into your lessons. Create a school focus. And that one there from Mrs. Learning Bee would be amazing for that with the domino effect. Number 4, the art of compliments, and doing that with your students and letting them flex that muscle. Because I think that's a skill you can revisit every single year. I actually think some adults could revisit it every single year as well. And lastly, the power of picture books, the power of storytelling. So find a book about kindness if you're finding your class is really struggling with it, and just read a book every day and unpack it and talk about it. And gosh, even just from a book, you've got a whole day's worth of activities, I find. So
Yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah, so fun. We'll make sure that those lessons or resources that we've spoken about today, we will link up in the show notes. We are going to be back next week with more inspiration for your classroom. But until then, Alicia, do you want to lead us out?
There are rainbows ahead, my friend.
And together we're unstoppable.